regarding censorship.
All right. The myths regarding censorship.
That's important.
Okay, big. One myth. The myths regarding censorship. One myth is that censors forced the filmmakers to be smarter, that they could say anything that they wanted to say as long as they just said it more slickly. And the other one is that the censors were stupid and actually could be fooled by this. Those are two things. Those are two myths that are the result completely of wishful thinking. It's not true, because the censors weren't just trying to make sure that a kiss didn't last 3 seconds. The censors were extremely fixated on the messages that film was putting out. So if you have for example, if you have a movie in which crime pays, there's no way to finesse that. That's the point of the movie. If you are making that movie under the code, by the end of it, crime will not pay. Now, for women, it wasn't only the crime that didn't pay. Nothing paid. Having a job didn't pay. Cheating on your husband didn't pay. Not taking your husband back didn't pay. Having a sex life at all didn't pay. Often not even having a job didn't pay if you were a woman. Once the code came in, it really became very bad for women in particular. It was a new world, and it wasn't a very good one. It was a brave new world. But I can say any of that again if you like.
Let's see. I wouldn't mind if you did that and then answered each question right after it. In other words, the myths regarding censorship. Well, some people feel that censorship just made writers have to be smarter and trickier. But
good. Yeah, I did it the other way. Very good. Okay. There are two myths with regard to censorship. One is that it just made directors and writers have to be smarter, and they can get away with anything as long as they were a little bit slick. Not true, because the censors were extremely intent on the messages that films were putting out. So if you wanted to make a movie that crime paid instead of didn't pay, that film was going to be rewritten and retooled by the censors until crime didn't pay, and that's guaranteed. The other myth about censorship, another one result of wishful thinking, is that the censors were stupid. They may be inartistic and they may not know anything about movies, but they were not stupid. They knew why they were doing what they were doing, and they wanted to make sure that movies only put out the messages that they wanted to have put out, and they succeeded for at least 20 years.
Good. Okay. You've got, how did the code change? Fill in the blank.
Well, whatever actresses you're interested in.
Okay. Yeah. But you identified in your book some who particularly were hurt.
Got killed by the code, yeah. Well, okay. Who got really demolished?
Francis
was
one.
Yeah, after many actresses were damaged by the code. We always hear about all these famous actresses were box office poisoned by 1937. Yeah, no kidding. No wonder why. Because the movies that they were making, which were all about women and on the cutting edge of society, on the cutting edge of social issues, they stopped being made. So if Kay Francis is less sophisticated than you are, what's the point of a Kay Francis movie? So Kay Francis, just about died the death. Miriam Hopkins died the death. Glenda Farrell didn't die the death, but kind of. Norma Shearer, she maintained her popularity, but years later, those movies are Romeo and Juliet is almost unwatchable, and most of her late talkies are pretty queenly. Nobody likes them, really. Well, some people do, I guess. Dietrich suddenly was awful in Garden of Allah. They stayed beautiful, but they got boring. The only ones who really survived were women who were funny, because then they were able to make screwball comedies, which was the next big genre. In romance, you couldn't treat romance in a serious way anymore, so you had to just kind of screwball it up. Andrew Sarah says something great about screwball comedy. He said that the whole screwball energy of it was the result of sexual frustration. The actresses that survived were the ones who were funny, like Claudette Colbert, Irene Dunne, Carole Lombard. People who played, who were more serious, like Anne Harding, she had to go back to the stage. There was nothing for her to make in Hollywood anymore. Now, you could probably piece through that.
We can.
Okay.
Do you want to say something special about Shearer in relation to that? Or do you want to say something on the order of the code changed the way we think about Shearer?
Well, I mean, it has been Shearer's historical. Okay,
because of the movie she had to make afterwards, and so that colored her legacy.
Yeah, I mean, it is Shearer's historical misfortune that the films that she was most remembered for, for the last 50 years, are the movies that she made after the Code. And so you see, Romeo and Juliet, which is a movie that you can only watch maybe if you're drunk, or tied to a chair, and Marie Antoinette, and all these films. The Women, where she plays, she's very good in it, but she plays, was essentially the most boring character, a woman whose husband cheats on her, and so she spends the rest of the movie miserable about it. Go back to The Divorcee. The husband cheats on her. She goes out that night and has sex with his best friend. That's the Norma Shearer who is the real Norma Shearer. But historically, she's remembered for all these later roles, and a lot of these women are for their later roles, and it's a shame because they're better movies. Loretta Young is another one. Loretta Young is remembered for, all these kind of great... Loretta Young, in the minds of people, is a lady coming down the stairs, in a flowing dress. But the lady had a past. She had a pre-Code past, and in which she was, at her most delightful.